Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Good to talk to all of you again today. And today we are taking a look at a replay sent in from the EU server for Crystal Warrior 132, who is playing a Friedrich de Grosse. Now, as this battle is going to progress, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of point out key moments where sort of good decision making is going to help make this game a relatively good one for Crystal. And then, of course, there's going to be a little sort of thought exercise, shall we say, at the end. Very, very beginning, and this is something that a lot of people don't do too well, is you start the game, let's say you're in a division, and people go off with their own division mates. Very normal thing to do. However, sometimes it is not the best idea. If you take a look at this game right now, and you count the ships, you'll see that with the two division mates already heading off to the left side flank, that the left-hand side is going to have a Bliskovica, Algerie, a Richelieu, a Colorado, a Soyuz, and an Aegir. Where the right-hand flank is going to be left with only a Mas, a Donskoy, and a Gneisenau. So, Crystal makes a very good decision here. Instead of going with the division mates over to the left-hand side, decides to actually go to the right-hand flank. So, to ensure that the right-hand flank doesn't collapse too quickly. So this is already, that first decision you got to make in the game. Which side do you want to go? And you do have to make a good choice, because if you make a bad choice and your other flank happens to just sort of collapse very, very quickly, you end up losing the game for sure, because as you lose an entire flank and the enemy ships come sort of like streaming through, you end up getting crossfired from two directions. Not usually a good way to win a game. Okay, so that's first good decision already right there. Okay, spotted for sure. This is probably not the best thing to do. Typically, if you get spotted, and you're sailing a big German battleship, try to do some sort of course correction, turn out a little bit, at least try to get a little bit angled. Okay, so sailing straight line, not the world's best idea. Reason why? Because competent players will shoot at you from 20 kilometers away, usually without hesitation. If they see that you're going like nice straight line, they'll shoot at you. Good for salvo on the turrets. Okay, again, post shooting, don't really need to follow the shells. And the big reason for not following shells is you don't really need to spend that time looking at the cinematic shot of your shells going through. It's better to immediately react into dodging, angling, whatever else you need to do. When you fire the shells are going anyways, sort of not really a need to pay too much attention to them. Okay, good. Getting angled here. This is definitely a good decision. There's a Buffalo on the far side. And the Buffalo and the Nelson are both going to be easier to shoot at if you're an FDG because of overmatch. So Friedrich de Grosse has guns capable of overmatching Buffalo's 27mm heavy cruiser plating, and also has the capacity to overmatch Nelson's Bell, which is a 26mm plate. Using overmatch to your advantage is a great thing, because that tells you, hey, even though this guy's trying to angle, doesn't matter. My shells are going to cut through him like a hot knife through butter. And as you can see, very nice salvo on the Buffalo, good damage there. Now, a lot of battleship players, and here's a lot of things that battleship players do, is that they'll get a good salvo like that on the Buffalo, and then they'll say, whoa, wow, I got good damage there, I'll keep doing it. Not the right decision, especially when a destroyer pops up. When a destroyer pops up, it is actually very, very smart to shoot the DD. Because if you can win the destroyer fight, the enemy team is going to have a lot more difficult of a time trying to hold the flank down. So getting rid of the destroyer helps. And if you're a battleship and you contribute the salvo to help your destroyer win the fight, it's fantastic. So this enemy Skane took some damage from Crystal and not too healthy. Moss unfortunately isn't doing all that great in the destroyer fight, but at least Crystal's continuing to help with secondaries, with main battery. And so eventually I do think this fight does go in sort of Crystal's team's destroyer's favor. I know that's kind of a mouthful right there, but anyhow, it is going to allow the Moss to survive, I believe, this initial engagement, which is very, very useful. Okay, now with the Skane having been taken out by the Algerie, this does allow the Moss to have some flexibility, and of course, Crystal goes right back to dealing with the Buffalo. Combination of secondaries pounding away on the Buffalo, as well as main battery guns, Buffalo is in deep trouble. Buffalo's positioning is legitimately terrible. As a Buffalo, this is not what you do. No. If you are, playing a Buffalo and you are doing this, you're not playing your Buffalo correctly. Okay, Buffalo is much more about either A, playing from behind islands if your skill isn't high enough, or B, utilizing open ocean but in more sort of kited away type position. Don't do that. That whole stick your bow in there and try it. Yeah, not a good idea. Okay. All right. So, whoa. This part, I'm a little bit unsure what was going on here. Because, yeah, I figured that the camera should have been looking towards the Boise. But it's possible that the mouse slipped or whatever. It happens to me too every once in a while. Anyhow. Engaging the enemy Boise. Again, the world's most oblivious Boise. So this Boise is just making it easy. Now, let's ignore the Boise for just a second and take a look at what's actually happening on the flank that Crystal's on. With the Buffalo gone, the Destroyer gone, the enemy team only has a couple of battleships who are a little bit out of position. They're a little bit too far in the back. But what that has done is it's made the entire flank very easy to push. And what you want from your German battleships is to push when an advantage like this develops. Now, a lot of German battleship players, they will just YOLO into stuff. No. The way you think about the German battleships is that German battleships are about timing. You get the right timing, and then you kind of break through a line, because your whole thing, your whole shtick is good armor, good secondaries. Main guns aren't great at long distances. You know, you're really looking for that opportunity. And because you're looking for that opportunity, timing is everything. Okay, so what Crystal is doing right now is actually really smart. You know, it's finding that gap in the enemy lines and then going for it. Not sure Crystal is actually aware of this, but this is definitely what a German battleship wants to do. Hey, there's a viable, exploitable hole. Let's go for it, right? And one of the ways you can sort of figure that out is also to count the enemy ships and to see, hey, like, you know, where are they? So, you know, when you're counting the ships, you'll notice that the other flank has quite a few ships. And then this flank is down to these 3 guys. And all battleships. And of course, 2 of these battleships being tier 7 are not going to be able to deal with Friedrich de Grosse as effectively. So continuing this push is very, very viable, especially because there is an advantage for the FDG when facing off against a Nagato and a Nelson and things like that. Okay, so secondaries raining down, good. Better opportunity presents itself. Nelson's coming in. Nagato is already being pummeled away by the secondaries. Might as well go for the Nelson. Okay, I'd almost say at this particular point, I might have just kept my secondaries on the Nagato while going for the main battery on the Nelson. Just so that, you know, your secondaries can pummel something that is hopefully going to turn into one of your own kills, I guess. And also, your main battery can deal with a Nelson. Nelson here, not making the best plays in the world. Just not particularly sure what this Nelson's thinking here. Just full broadside in front of the FDG, while going bow forward towards a bunch of cruisers. This not the most sensible thing to do. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so we'll attribute that Nelson to being a potato and not knowing what they're doing. Okay, but the push continues. With the Nelson now gone and the Nagato also sunk, it is just this Tirpitz. And it does go well. I mean, Crystal wins this fight and the Tirpitz does go down, but you know, the difference oftentimes between sort of average players and like the top tier players is the small details. And you'll notice that Crystal took about 11.2k in damage from the Tirpitz, because there was this period of time where the FTG was just sort of broadside enough and ate a salvo from the Tirpitz. And at that period of time, the FTG really had nothing to do except secondaries, right? The main battery was reloading. That little bit of time could have been spent more actively trying to angle, because if you can mitigate even a little bit of damage, it always helps in the long run. So Crystal, if you watch this, that would be something to pay attention to. Like, don't ever be caught in a situation where you know, you're just kind of like not doing anything, right? Like, you're not defending yourself, you're not, you know, shooting anything. Just don't get caught in that kind of situation. Always be thinking, if I'm not on offense, then am I doing more on defense? If I'm not doing any of those things, can I be better positionally? You got to constantly be thinking. Don't get caught in a situation where you're just kind of like, you know, I'll let my secondaries go to town and not worry about stuff now. You constantly got to be thinking about these little details. All in all, still pretty good, right? Push through, won this flank. Now coming towards the center. So after you win a flank, that's what you do. You head towards sort of that center-ish type area because you want to engage whatever's on the other side. Ideally, of course, you'd want your other flank to not get completely obliterated, which in this case, considering the numerical advantage that the other side really did have, it's a little shocking that they've been obliterated as badly. Okay, still good salvo into the Georgia. Georgia, of course, does react correctly, angles away, and that allows the Georgia to get angled. And of course, the FTG is probably not going to do as much unless you're targeting like sort of superstructure on the salvo here. Okay, continue the push. This is okay. Yeah, little bit of a touch on the superstructure. All is well. Okay, getting another heal off. That is fine. Say probably around here. I mean, there's no CVs in this game, so occasionally you might as well throw the plane up, like especially in a situation like this when you have very little vision. You might as well throw the plane up and see if the plane spots anything. Which, had this plane actually gone up, there's a possibility you might have actually spotted this destroyer a little bit earlier. But that is okay. I mean, this destroyer is just... I don't know. I don't know what the plan of that destroyer was. Come out and YOLO an FDG and a Donskoy is pretty bad play right here. So, yeah, not sure what this Z46's plan was. I mean, it's kind of what happens when the destroyer doesn't provide vision for his team. They themselves can run into no vision situations and get themselves killed like that. Okay, not very smart. All right, again, sort of lacking vision, past that rock. Yeah, I would say probably like throw up a fighter here. This would probably be a reasonable thing to do. You know there's an Ibuki there. Okay. On fire. It's one fire, and there is possible enemy contact soon with the Ibuki. I guess it's okay to not pop a DCP here and just sort of let it run. That's okay too. So we'll see. Donskoy here is... Okay, you've been spotted by a plane. Okay. Probably put up your own plane here because you're being plane spotted and there's no CV, so it has to be a surface ship with a plane. So probably would have been good to have a plane up there. But yeah, anyways, enemy Georgia pops out here. Okay, immediate engagement here. Georgia goes, I believe, for the Donskoy here. Yeah, the Donskoy, not exactly the wrong decision technically, but unfortunately cutting, gets cut off. I would say pay a little bit more attention as a battleship player to not block your friendly's turnout. Okay, so that means if you see them where you're sort of like in a sort of directly parallel type situation, slow down a little bit, give them a little bit more room to maneuver, because it's possible that Donskoy might have survived that, and then in this kind of a situation, your fight would realistically be, sort of a 2-on-2 instead of a 2-on-1. But those are little details, right? And again, sort of the difference between, the average and the elite players typically is there. I would have probably said also have your Hydro up here when this was ready, just because the Ibuki has torpedoes, and you should be aware, especially with the position of the Ibuki, which was kiting away, that most likely the torpedoes had gone. Okay, you've got guns on the Georgia. This is good. Georgia, this southern Georgia is just full broadside, so absolutely go for the salvo. It's very good that you're staying angled as well while engaging this other Georgia and letting your secondaries pound away on this other Georgia. Okay, this is where there's, again, that little bit of a decision-making thing. Georgia is getting pummeled by your secondaries. Other Georgia is going away behind an island. The most viable target right now to shoot is not actually this Georgia, because you're angled to the Georgia. Georgia can't really hurt you except for secondaries. Instead of firing this salvo against the Georgia, let your secondaries keep working. And what you could have done is, because at the time your turrets were fully turned the other way because you had engaged the Georgia that was in the middle, you could have gone and blapped the Nueva de Julio, actually. So this would have allowed you to engage both targets simultaneously and have actually, been effective on both. Instead, because you notice how long it took you to turn all the turrets around to shoot the Georgia. Now you got to turn the turrets all the way around to re-engage the Nueva de Julio. So think about that. These are like these little details. All in all, I mean, you're still doing really good. I mean, you stayed angled, you engaged correctly, and damage number is phenomenal, right? 280,000 damage game is really, really good. Still, it is always important, even after, especially after games like this, to not just be super thrilled with the damage number, but to start to actually think a little bit about, was there a little bit more efficiencies I could have gotten? Could I have done X, Y, or Z a little bit better? Because if you can think about that afterwards and do some self-reflection, in the long run, you'll become a better player. The better player you are, the more influence you have in the battle. The more influence you have, the more fun the game becomes. Anyhow, Crystal, I hope this video is helpful to you. I hope you pick up some little things out of it. And I hope you apply even the things that you did in the game to more of your games, so that, you can have better and better and better games, and you can enjoy World of Warships that much more. Anyways, in terms of the replay, that's pretty much it. I mean, nothing else really happens. It just kind of ticks out in points, and that's about that. Now, as for me personally, for those of you who are unaware, my current schedule basically looks like Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, I'm doing live streams on Twitch, and Thursday, Friday, I try to pump out YouTube videos, like 2 a week right now. That's really about all I can manage. I've got schoolwork, and pretty much everything I'm doing in school is basically brand new to me, because first of all, and a lot of the math and the chemistry stuff, like I don't remember any of that stuff. It's a lot of that is from high school, and it's been like 13, 14 years since I've last been to high school, so I can't remember anything. And then other than that, I'm being taught a lot of new stuff regarding I guess the fundamentals of engineering, graphics, and I have one class where we spend all our time talking about pipes. Yep, you heard that right. Pipes. I have an entire handbook now for pipes and all the numbers with pipes. Gonna end up dreaming about pipes, I tell you. Anyways, folks, take care, be well, and I'll see you all again next time.